we're back. We're live. It's the first show of, no, the second show of the day. We heard about terrorism in the previous show on Global Connections with James Prim. But today, now, we're going to talk about Aloha United We Stand, because that's what we usually do at 12 noon, 12 o'clock rock on Thursday. So we have Mea Spady. She's the business team manager. Hi, Mea.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Nice to meet you. And Amanda Stanfield, she's in marketing communications for Aloha United Way. Hi, Amanda. Okay, let's get right to it. We're talking about volunteering for Aloha United Way. You have 240 charities. Where do the volunteers go? If I volunteer, where are you going to put me? Where are you going to put me?
Well, it depends on what you're passionate about. We partner with over 200 partner agencies here just on Oahu alone. And so based on your passions or maybe where you work, you have a philanthropic mission, we can place you somewhere where they really need you.
Okay, so you're going to interview me.
Sure.
I'm going to come down there. You're going to sit with me. You're going to say, Jay, what do you want to do? How do you want to spend your time volunteering? And then you'll decide what charity, or you'll suggest what charity.
Sure, that's one way we can do it. We can also make it really simple. Most people, they're really busy, trying to have that work-life balance. And so you can pick up the phone and give me a call, give us a call, and we
What's
can
your
have
number? I love this part of the show. What's your number?
953-5543, my direct.
Wow.
But no, and we want people to know who they can contact, because sometimes it's difficult to know where you can be of most use, or to know what programs are out there that are really succeeding and just need a little bit of extra help from you to succeed even further. Yeah. So you can pick up the phone and we'll just have a conversation, much like we are now, uncovering your passions, and then matching you with something that works best for you. Or you can go online. We already have a system. It's called Get Connected. You go to auw.org, and we have a list from all of our partner agencies, and it has events. You can search by what you're passionate about, the date, whatever you need, and it'll match you with an opportunity, and you can sign up that easy, that quick. When I signed up to volunteer through Get Connected with Hawaii Literacy, the whole process took 24 hours. It was one phone call, really quick.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just wondering, what kind of people, is the market? I mean, you're the marketing lady, right? You go out, and you publish stuff and try to reach them, find them where they live.
Yeah,
Who are you targeting?
So on the flip side of just the individual coming in, we also have affinity groups who, I know we have 3, we've had them
What's
come on.
What's an affinity group?
Our affinity groups are attachment groups within our organization that are specific to certain age groups or demographics. So for me, I fall into our Society of Young Leaders, which is a age range of young professionals that range from 21 to 45. And they are really fantastic individuals who really just want to get back into the community and make sure they're not only, working and playing, but they're really being substantial contributors to the betterment of our community.
So that reminds me, when we have these panels and we get people's bios, we always get their bios. And we look, the last paragraph in the bio is all the organizations that this person has volunteered with. It's a stepping stone.
Yes.
It's a career move.
It is.
You may think it's purely altruistic, but there's another side to it. They're going to come around so they can have it on their CV and tell people. And it's good business.
Yes.
And their company, and this is probably something you guys deal with, their company wants them to do it.
Exactly.
The company encourages them to do it. I can imagine somebody walking in or calling you and saying, they made me do this, but I got to do it, so help me do it.
And you'd be surprised. I think there are a lot of people, given the opportunity, they would embrace the opportunity to volunteer. And ideally, sure, there's altruism out there, but we want everyone to benefit from the situation. The most ideal volunteer placement is when everyone is winning. When you feel useful, and when the organization receives valuable time that's worth a lot to them, that they don't have to pay for, because you're bringing in your skills to that organization.
Yeah, let me get this straight, though. You're bringing them in, you're reaching them, you're bringing them in, you're talking to them, you're channeling them to one of your 242 beneficiary organizations. But they're not necessarily volunteers for Aloha United Way. They're volunteers for the organizations that that are in your group of partners, right? Right?
We have both.
You have both, okay.
Yes.
They could be a volunteer for Aloha United Way, but
Right.
they could also be a volunteer for one of your beneficial organizations.
Well, we have a really valuable pool of volunteers that volunteer specifically with Aloha United Way, and they are the ones that actually help us decide who are these over 200 partner agencies. We have professionals in their fields, and they sit down with us at our table and look at our partner agencies and make the decisions about who is out there helping the community and how can we make sure we partner with them to make their work happen.
Those are very valuable volunteers. Those are the ones
Absolutely,
that help you spend your
absolutely.
money and they help you
Absolutely.
find where, they sort of evaluate the social safety net
Mm-hmm.
and for that matter, the community in general.
Mm-hmm.
This is a large group of people, like 100 people, right? It's
Yeah,
substantial.
it varies, but yeah, for the most part, and they're long-term volunteers, so we can count on them to come back. And there are different types of volunteers, and these volunteers are extremely valuable because they also, in turn, are influencers in the community. After volunteering with us, they go back to their workplace, go back to their neighborhoods and communities, and communicate about what it is Aloha United Way does.
Yeah. Well, that's almost like being a member of the board, isn't it? I mean, you're making policy decisions, you're, making important decisions on who Aloha United Way will support and how much and all that. This is really critical stuff. So it's not that they're out there, taking rubbish off the highway. They're out there trying to, figure out how Aloha United Way can be most effective in the community.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for that, you would want somebody with a little experience.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, Mark, our VP of Community Impact, he does a really excellent job reaching out to the community and identifying these individuals. So we have a wide range of fields that they come from. So some might be experts in their field. Maybe they are a professor, or maybe they are a executive director of their organization or their corporation. It really varies.
So you have a list, you have a Rolodex. You go through go through Pacific Business News and get names of the people who are up and coming in the business community. Is that what you do?
Well, the nice thing is we have so many partners in the community established with us already, and that's my job, is to make sure that I am creating partnerships that are mutually beneficial so that a company is able to reach their philanthropic mission and so that the community gets all of the support that they need. And so some of these partners already exist. So we reach out and make sure we maintain those ties and engage them so that they can be involved in these ways.
Now the beneficiary organizations, they have their own ways of getting volunteers too, right?
Yeah,
But they don't
definitely.
get all their volunteers from you.
No.
They might get some, but they can go out and do their own thing. I mean, it's a lot of volunteering, isn't it? I mean, in
Right.
the nonprofit world, in the safety net world, must be a substantial percentage of the people who are actually on the ground doing stuff are volunteers.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up because our goal at Aloha United Way is to kind of increase the way we impact the health of our community. And it's really valuable to have manpower. Yes, we
Woman
can
power,
do,
too.
yes, absolutely.
Trying
I'm
to help
glad
out
you
over here.
clarified that. But it's not just about, financial contributions. Contributing your time is extremely valuable. So if you look at just through the Get Connected website, so let's say that's the route you chose and you signed up through Get Connected. So we had about 700 people sign up that way last year. So with all of the hours that they put in through that match, our organizations collectively, they saved over $160,000 because of this volunteer
That's it.
time.
If you take the time times some rate that you would otherwise pay them, say minimum wage, then that would translate to that.
Yeah.
That's a great contribution.
Right, and the interesting thing is we have a lot of space in our community to increase that. The U.S. government has a way to track how many people volunteer in every state, and unfortunately, we're the Aloha state. We see acts of kindness, acts of aloha all the time, but unfortunately, we fall 40th on that.
You're kidding.
I know. But when you
Kidding.
ask people, well, what do you consider kindness? Do you do favors for your neighbors or your friends or your family? And almost 60% of people say absolutely, you know, if
course.
they saw a neighbor.
But they don't volunteer.
So, and that's
And we're going to find out exactly how that works, why we're
right.
40th on that list right after this break, okay? Deal?
Sounds good.
Cliffhanger? We'll be right back.
Aloha, I'm Keli'i Akina with the Grassroots Institute of Hawaii, and one of our delights is to be partnered with Think Tech Hawaii and produce programs every week. Every Monday at 2 o'clock, we have a show called E Hana Kako, which means let's work together. So we bring people from all across the nation and the country, and certainly throughout the islands together here to talk with them about how to work together, and how to work together to do the following: to build a better economy, a better government, a better society. So if you're interested in the research of our think tank, the Grassroots Institute, or if you're interested in how that's applied at the governmental and community and business levels, you'll enjoy the fascinating conversations with our guests on E Hana Kako every week on Think Tech Hawaii at 2 o'clock on Mondays. Until our next show, I'll see you. Aloha.
Bingo, we're back. Aloha United. We stand here on a Thursday with Mea Spady and Amanda Stanfield. So I'd like to take a moment before we get back to our cliffhanger question and find out how you guys got involved in Aloha United Way first. You know, what schooling, what brought you to work for Aloha United Way, Amanda?
Okay, so for me, I'm really, really fresh. This is about my 7th month on the job. And I recently graduated in May. And during my time
From what?
From Hampton University in Virginia.
In
And
what subject?
Communications.
Okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
this is my little space. So I actually had the opportunity while I was in college to come out here and intern for AUW, and it was a wonderful experience. I loved the work they were doing, and things happened, and it worked out that I could come along and be a part of the team. So that's how I got here.
So what is the job involved? How do you spend your days?
My day is a lot of communication, so it's
I hope so.
a lot of back and forth with our team and a lot of initiatives that we're pushing out, and especially I'm heading the SYL now, so it's a lot of coordinating their events and getting them, you know, geared and right and ready for everything that's upcoming for them. So just a lot of
So internal communications?
internal,
External?
yes, definitely,
Both.
definitely both.
So you're writing press releases, that kind of thing?
Well, here and there, but we also, my big garden is the social media. So I get to send out messages and reach thousands of our audience viewers like every single day. And that's probably one of the best parts, is being able to really get our message out there and making sure our info's there.
Yeah, this opens a whole new area of discussion. The social media, you have a whole big market there.
Oh, yeah.
That if you want to reach them, the only way to reach them is with social media.
Exactly, definitely.
So you can do that. It's great. Yeah. What do you do in your spare time?
Oh, my spare time? Well, rest, because it's quite a job to complete
Okay.
and make sure it gets handled properly. But just hang out and also volunteer on my own time. That's actually
that
one
right?
of, yes, that's
Yeah.
one of the things that
What's good enough for the goose is good enough for
You're
the
right,
gander.
exactly. And that's kind of one of the things that as well we're trying to garner is we open these events and opportunities to our members to hopefully get them to do things on their own. And they actually do. They do go out and they, make these relationships with different organizations and really push forward their own initiatives and make sure that they're filling their own philanthropic goals and everything. So volunteering and hanging out, pretty normal person for the most part. But
Sounds great.
Yeah.
You like nonprofit work?
Yeah, it's really
Is
rewarding.
that a career
and-
for you?
Yes, definitely. It's really rewarding, and you get to meet everybody almost just about. You're not just in marketing, you're not just in PR, you're every little bit. I've met engineers, lawyers, doctors, anything in between. It's a really great opportunity, especially where I'm at, to just get to explore and
You're in
learn
a great
about other
spot
people.
here
Yeah.
at the confluence, and
Yes,
intersection
definitely.
of all these
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
All sides of the track. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay, so Mea, how did you get involved? Where did you go to school? What did you study? And how did you get connected?
Well, so I went to.
And what's your phone number?
I already gave you that one. So I went to University of Hawaii, and toward the end of my studies, I got tired, frankly, of writing papers. I wanted to do something, and I started volunteering at a very young age, and I'm in my own community, but it really happened for me when, toward the end of my college career, I traveled to Africa and volunteered for a few months, and I thought, I want to go into the Peace Corps. I want to do more. I want
Wow.
to serve my country in a different way.
Wow, national service?
Well, so yes,
Yes, Peace Corps, yes.
I got challenged by people around me, and they said, you know, Hurricane Katrina just happened. Why aren't you helping Americans? And you know, people need help. People need help. To me, it doesn't matter your nationality, but it did get me thinking, you know. And essentially, I ended up hooking up with AmeriCorps, and I became an AmeriCorps in New Orleans. And so I worked with Habitat for Humanity there. And it was a beautiful relationship. We built homes. I helped organize volunteers there, and we did all kinds of other things. And then I kind of got away from that, and I went into the business world. And they say what you spend all your extra time doing is probably what you should be doing as a career.
Yes. Well, I hope you write that down. This is really important. It's a way to find out what you really want to do.
Right. So I found my way back, and I enjoyed everything I've done up until now, but I found my way back to my core, my true passion. And so now as Amanda said, you know, you get to work. I don't just focus on building homes or just focus on bringing people off the streets. You know, it's everything. You get to help everybody with what they need, and that's what makes me happy to wake up every day and come to work. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you used to be shy? Just trying to understand.
Probably
it.
never.
Okay, let's go back to our cliffhanger.
Right.
Oh yeah, why are we 40th?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I won't
You're
venture.
40th on the list of, according to some federal study, 40th on the list of people who volunteer, which is really surprising in the Aloha State, where people are, just as you say, they're nice to each other mostly, and they do favors for each other, and they reach out a lot.
Right.
But why don't they volunteer?
Well, I mean, we all have our own reasons, I'm sure. And, you know, all of us are working really hard. We also have one of the highest costs of living. So people are really trying to find that work-life balance. And that's where I come in to try to create opportunities for people to volunteer through their work or find ways to network in that way. And when you look at that same study, 60% of people contribute in other ways. They do favors for neighbors, friends, and family. And we want to change the mindset. Volunteering shouldn't be thought of something extra, something I have to do, spend more time doing. Think of volunteering as an organized act of kindness. I am committing to this time and day to do something kind for my neighbor, for my community. And that's what we want people to think of. And that's why we're encouraging a lot of our business partners to help their employees with their voice. What do they value, and how can they put that back into the community? And you know, the company gains from that situation. They have an engaged workforce, they have team building, perhaps they learn new job skills.
Yeah.
It's beneficial for everyone involved. So that's what we're leaning toward and trying to increase and empower in our community.
Yeah, this is great. And you need it. I mean, the safety net needs it. If the safety net had to pay that money to all those volunteers, it wouldn't work. Wouldn't work, couldn't do it.
Right.
So if we're going to handle these issues, we have to have volunteers, and people have to understand. It's sort of like the national service thing. If I go into the Peace Corps, you do have a duty to the community.
Right.
You can't just live here in a silo. You have to help out. So I'm really impressed that you guys volunteer too.
Oh,
That's
thank
very
you.
nice of you. And life is a volunteer in a way, and you know, in your jobs, which is, you know, this is better than being in the business community. It's its own kind of business, you know.
Right, right.
But, you know, what about engagement? In every workforce situation, you have to engage the members of the workforce. And if you can't engage them, they will not be efficient, not be productive, they will drift off, and, you know, it's just a headache. How do you do that? How do you engage them? How do you keep them busy? I mean, the worst analysis is where they report for duty and you don't supervise them. You don't
Right.
tell them what they have to do. So they sit there like a bump on a log and waste time.
Right.
How do you keep them busy?
That's true. You want to value them. And back to your initial point about how do you engage them, it sounds very rudimentary, but sometimes it's as simple as listening. And we've had a handful of companies that have come forward and asked, we want to volunteer. How can we volunteer? And aside from get connected, they need extra help being connected because they're not really sure what they're looking for,
Right.
or they already have a specific day committed, and they then need the organization to create an opportunity for them. So maybe Hawaii Literacy didn't post on their website, we need somebody to help us reorganize our Kuhio Park library because we don't have a writing center yet. Maybe that's not on the website, but a group of employees could come one day and create a beautiful center for them.
So you're going to
So-
have a list somewhere.
Of
Right? You're going to have a list of jobs, of tasks that you need. Some of them are long-term, some of them probably short-term, but you need to get certain work done. And when the hypothetical volunteer walks in, you can look down the list with the volunteer and say, you like this one, you like this
Right.
one?
Well, and what's beautiful is United Way as a whole, and us at Aloha United Way, we have a focus. So our focus is we focus on education, we focus on poverty, and we focus on health and safety net. And so we want to make sure that we are targeting those kinds of programs in the community. So we know specifically which programs really need extra help. This program really helps kids be able to read by 3rd grade. This program makes sure that this person can pay their rent so that they don't end up on the street. We have these programs already identified, so we are an ideal destination for someone looking for that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, so if I come in and say, for example, I'm really troubled about the homeless in our community.
Right.
I want to help with the homeless. I want to do something constructive.
Right.
I don't want to just pick up trash.
Okay.
Okay, I want to work with people. I want to improve their lives. What do you do for me?
So I can sign you up to feed the homeless, which is actually one of the most popular choices. IHS has something like that, or you can do the food bank. And the food bank actually relies almost solely on volunteers, so that's an ideal situation. Or, for example, when I volunteered to help the homeless, we actually went out into the streets and talked to them face to face. I mean, and it's a great experience if you can imagine the last time you sat down and had a conversation with a homeless person to really understand their situation. And we went out and talked to them and found out what they needed, what the situation is, and our CEO came with us to do that, and she brought that back to our workplace, those conversations, and thought, how can we get our agencies to work better so that we can solve this problem? So there's so many ways that you can go out and help
Yeah,
them.
and it's a mutual thing. So by
Right.
definition, if it's a mutual thing, the person, the volunteer is going to be well fitted because you have well fitted him or her in the beginning. So, but now I have a more difficult question, Amanda.
Okay.
Suppose it's not working out. Not every member of every staff works out. This is a little delicate, especially if you have a volunteer. What do you do? How do you
How do
deal
we
with that?
deal with that?
You may have to counsel that person. You know, suppose he's behaving badly.
Well,
What do you do?
we definitely make sure we have an understood policy whenever we have anyone volunteer for us, that they understand that needs to be a mutual respect between us and the agency and whoever the agency is providing whatever service to. So we make sure that they are very aware that you need to be respectful and understand that, you know, if it's not working out, come and find one of us or find someone who's a program director, and we'll make sure that everything is handled, because this is an experience that you should be able to enjoy, and this is an experience that should also help the participant as well. And we don't want it to be like, oh, I can't stand this, I don't like this. We want you to just come to us and we'll resolve it. And it's very rare that it happens, but it does happen. Sometimes maybe that volunteer opportunity just wasn't right for you, and that's why we have so many agencies to choose from in the first place, because you have to find your niche, you have to find where you fit, where it works for you. And some people like dogs, some people can't stand dogs, so it's always a back and forth and making sure everybody has their little spot that works for them the best way. But there is every opportunity we make sure that our volunteers understand that there's a level of respect and, you know, responsibility that you have towards us as AUW that you have to make sure that you follow.
You ever have situations where you got to say farewell?
Not from my experience, no, but I'm sure there has been probably once or twice where it's like, okay,
This isn't working.
this isn't working, and maybe another time or another opportunity in the future. But you just have to be mindful of what people are comfortable with, and make sure they're aware of what they're getting into. That's the most important aspect. Is when you volunteer, you are really going to be. You're going to be working. You're going to really be putting your
Expect them to put a
put
day's
in
work
a good
in, or
day's
whatever
work in.
period
And
of
if
hours.
that's one of my things as a marketing person, is to really communicate that to whoever our audience is at the time, to make sure they understand what's expected of them, and make sure that they really get what we're going for, what our goal is, and to meet it. And if we don't do our part, they can't do their part. So
Yeah.
it's just critical to have a really clear line of communication.
Yeah. Now, when you set them up, when you bring them in, when you recruit them, do you have a period of time that you're talking about? You say, we expect you to put in X months or X years or your
No.
life? Well, how do you deal with that? I mean, is there a commitment involved in time, or is it just open-ended?
Absolutely. I mean, it's when you sign up to volunteer, it's initially there is always a commitment of time. Ideally, we want it to be long term, but it would be whatever they commit to, exactly what you're committing to at the time. So, for example, if you're going to go and build a house today, you know that you get there at 8 a.m. and your day is done at 4 p.m. and that's the commitment that you're making. And then if you want to if I became a long-term volunteer, for example, with Hawaii Literacy, I know that I need to commit 4 months, at least 1 day a week, to go in and read with kids. And so you agree to that in the beginning, so you know what you're committing to, and so that they can rely on you. And when you make that commitment, it's a very, very important, especially if you're dealing with a community that relies on you like children, because they expect to see you. They look forward to seeing you. They maybe even come to the program to see you. And so when you make that commitment, it's important to understand that you're going to follow through.
Otherwise, you're leaving detriment behind and
Right.
not helping at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really important. Let's take a short break, if you don't mind, ladies. That's Mea Spady and Amanda Stanfield, both with Aloha United Way, talking about Aloha United We Stand, finding out about the internal operations here, about how you draw the people in from the community, from all sides, from contributors to beneficiary organizations to volunteers. You guys are the hub in the wheel. Yeah. And we're talking about volunteering for AUW. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on Think Tech Hawaii. Center Stage airs every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and of course you can check out our archives on YouTube or on Think Tech Hawaii anytime you like. Why should you do that? Because this is an arts show that I believe is making a difference in lives. We talk with artists of various ilk. We talk with painters and writers, playwrights, novelists, poets, sculptors, dancers, you name it, directors, actors, of course. And we don't only talk about what people do, but we talk about how they do it. And my favorite part of the conversation, we talk about why they do it. And it's really common on this show to hear people say, wow, I didn't think about it that way. And it's very common to hear people afterwards who have seen the show say the same thing. And I hear all the time that people are inspired by the conversations that we have. So why don't you join us and be inspired too? That's Center Stage on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. We'll see you Center Stage.
Okay, we're back, we're live. We're here with Aloha United Way. Aloha United We Stand every Thursday at noon. We have Mea Spady and Amanda Stanfield from Aloha United Way talking about volunteering for AUW. So one thing I wanted to cover was training,
Right.
In the business community, I'm sure you know, there's not a lot of training, not in Hawaii. There really should be more. We should have training like in the federal government, where they train you about everything all the time. Always go to class. We want you to be better than you were yesterday. It's really good. Always, our motto here is every day better.
Love it.
Okay,
That's
you
Love
guys
it.
train the
Love that.
volunteers. You take them aside, have a class, explain to them, for example, reading and literacy. And do you tell them to go take a course online maybe? Do you tell them to study up on something in order to make themselves a better volunteer? Amanda?
Well, with the Society on Leaders, we usually try before our volunteer event or whatever, because we have a give event once a month, and then the next month we'll have a learn event or a volunteer event. So we kind of follow that trail. So depending on what it is or what agency it is, we try and put a site visit to the agency before the event. So when you get to the event or whatever it may be, you have some background, you know what they're in need of, you really have the full scope, you get to visit the site, you get to see what they're doing. And that's kind of our like mini training. And then if it is an actual volunteer opportunity, because Espo has quite a few different things going on, if it's a volunteer opportunity, we have like an orientation beforehand for anyone who didn't get to go to the site visit or if there wasn't a site visit that time. So it's about, 15, 20 minutes where they get an overview of the whole organization and make sure they get a really good grassroots understanding of what they're going to be doing that day.
Yeah, you're making them diplomats.
Yes,
They're-
definitely.
Yeah, they're citizen diplomats kind of thing, because what they say,
Is
it reflects
Yes,
on you,
on us,
you guys,
yeah.
and you can't have them out of control.
Right.
Now, what about the other side of it? What about recognition? I'm not that they expect it, or I would expect it, but it's nice to recognize volunteers. Give them something, a gift, a party, something. What do you give them? Anything?
Well,
You
what
give
we
them a pat on the back.
Well, we definitely try to, when somebody has volunteered or something, we do make sure that we celebrate them at the end of the day. And, you bring up a really good point. I think there are more opportunities out there that we could celebrate the volunteering that we do have happening. And one of the ways that we kind of organize this effort is we have different times of the year that are really focused on volunteering so that we can publicize it. Amanda can share it with everyone at Aloha United, at Aloha United Way on social media. And so we have like the Day of Action in June 21st, or we have
What is that? The Day
So,
of Action?
United Way
I love that
Worldwide.
title.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So United Way Worldwide has something called the Day of Action. It's June 21st every single year, and it's basically a call to action. It's inviting all of the communities in their different states to come together and volunteer on one day. So everyone wears their Live United t-shirt. You have the same, introduction in the beginning of the day. You work, you're working with all of these other people across the country. At the end of the day, you celebrate, and it's recognition on social media and marketing for our companies, for you as an individual, and you really go home at the end of the day feeling like you contributed and made a difference.
So you're in a group of camaraderie, and you're having this sort of peer experience
Right.
where everybody, you just flashed a story back in my mind. When I was in college, we had some group that was trying to deal with people who didn't have homes, and we went out to a wooded area nearby, and our group built a home. We built a home. We didn't know anything. But there were supervisors there
Right,
and showed us
right.
how to not bang your thumb,
Wow.
And we built a home. And I'll never forget that, even till now, that we were able to do that. The gratification was enormous. Not only in the fact that we achieved something that benefited someone else, but that we built a home.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
None of us had ever built a home
Definitely.
before. So, I mean, there's gratification that flows out of any kind of volunteering.
Right,
And the more you can sort of focus on that,
right,
let people enjoy and revel in the fact that they achieved something.
right.
That's enough, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the best kinds of volunteering, they develop organically. So when I was in New Orleans, I was talking to a coworker, and she kept voicing concerns about her son's schooling. And he would go to school, and he didn't even have all the textbooks and books he needed to have class. And I couldn't believe it, because I was blessed. I didn't have that kind of situation. And so she shared with me that they didn't have all the books they needed. And I thought, well, there's a group of us AmeriCorps from all over the country. We could probably ask people at home if they have books that they can contribute. And it blossomed into this beautiful community project. And we ended up collecting over 10,000 books. And we brought them into the classrooms. And I mean, there was one, we visited the school after they received the books, and one of their boxes had 30 copies of the Diary of Anne Frank. And so it went to this 8th grade class, and they were reading this book, and they were just so enlightened and empowered. And I sat there and I thought, gosh, can you imagine your instruction of that time period in history not including the Diary of Anne Frank? I mean, it was really powerful, and they were so happy, and it was
It's a gift.
beautiful,
It's a major gift, yeah.
beautiful situation, and that's what we want. We want people to be involved in a way that's powerful to them and also powerful for the community. That's the goal, is
Yeah.
for us to hear you and just collaborate.
Well, it's not dissimilar from the Peace Corps or AmeriCorps. It's that people appreciate. I mean, if there's one thing that's irresistible, it's the notion of the person you're doing a favor for who appreciates that you're doing the favor.
Absolutely.
This you take that home.
Yeah.
So you have stories for me? You have
Oh,
stories
yeah.
for me?
So for me, it's a little bit more recently, but our SYL group had the opportunity to volunteer for Access Surf back in November. And Access Surf is a nonprofit that creates safe environments for individuals with disabilities in the ocean. So they get together once a month, every first Saturday, and they have a day at the beach. And they need volunteers to make sure that they can facilitate their participants, make sure they're safe, make sure they're having a good time, and just enjoy a simple day at the beach. But I think people don't realize that it actually takes a lot. So we had our group come out. We had about 20 or 30 of our members. We have a 100 membership base. And 20 or 30 of them came out amongst other volunteers. I think it ended up being like 60 volunteers that day.
Wow.
It was amazing.
That's a
and
workforce.
a lot of our volunteers were initially like very nervous because they were, responsible for somebody's safety in the water. I mean, we had life vests and everything, but it's always a different thing when you're in the ocean. The ocean has its own way of moving, so you never know. But I think it was one of those moments where our volunteers had to conquer that fear and realize the importance of their time and what they're doing for someone else that day, to just simply enjoy the water and relax. And it was great because I know our members walked away and it was a life-changing experience for some of them, that they got to help someone enjoy something so simple to us and really just have a good day and hang out, because it ultimately just became a hangout. We cooked out, we had a good time. It was low stress, like everyone just enjoyed their time. And that's one of my favorite stories and one of my favorite organizations
Memorable.
to volunteer
I
for.
can see your passion,
Yes.
Amanda. Okay, Mea. Now, how about a story from you? Make me react emotionally. Okay, tell me a story.
So I volunteered to feed the homeless, and like I said, that's a very popular choice. And you think about it, it sounds really simple, but so you go in, you start preparing the food, and it's normal and to your lifestyle, and then you go out to serve the food, and you start to meet people, and you don't realize the impact you're having on them because it's a warm meal, a hot meal that they might not always enjoy, and you're happy that they're receiving it until you see, the kids, and they get their meal. And it's, in this scenario, we had set up the eating hall to look like a restaurant. And we had one mother come over to us, and she said, I've never taken my kids out to a restaurant before. They've never experienced something like this, Thank you. Thank you so much for giving this gift to us.
She didn't have to say that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, that's a very personal thing to share, and it was touching because it's something that I take for granted. You know what I mean? And it was nice to be able to share that with someone. Yeah.
It's great when they come around and talk to you like that. You can take that home.
Yeah.
Okay, we're almost out of time, and I told you I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to talk to the volunteers yet to be. They're at camera 2 over there, and there's a little photograph hanging off the camera that certainly looks like a bunch of kids at a bar drinking. And they are your potential volunteers. So Mea, why don't you talk to them and tell them what you would say if you were in the bar too.
So I want to ask you to think about what you're passionate about, and think about the last time somebody helped you, and think about how you felt in that situation. And I want you to turn around and look for an opportunity to help others. And if you need help looking for an opportunity, you can go to auw.org, and our Get Connected website has a list of opportunities. Or if you feel so inspired, you can go back to work and say, hey, let's get a team together and volunteer. You can contact me at 543-2253.
Wow.
That phone number. And I'll help get you set up with a perfect opportunity for your team.
Great. Okay, your turn now.
Okay.
Amanda, what would you say to them?
What would I say? So I see that they're a bunch of young individuals. So for me, I would really say that you guys are young. You guys have so many opportunities to get engaged and really learn from a wide array of individuals in the Society of Young Leaders. To become a member or just tag along to one of our events, they're open to everyone. We do a range of things. We have panel discussions, we have treasure hunts, we have volunteer opportunities. So anytime or anything you're interested in doing and you have a group of friends who just want to get involved, come visit our website at auwsyl.org or follow us on social media at auwsyl and get involved.
Money wouldn't buy you this kind of experience. You know, to volunteer gives you a view of humanity, of our community, and of yourself that you wouldn't otherwise have. Giving is the most important thing. That's the kind that goes down through life, through generations. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming around.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Aloha United Way.